Hello everybody, and welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host, Gary Vaynerchuk. You didn't think I was going to be gone that long, did ya? Oh man, it's really good to be back. You know, everything's great, as long as your family's healthy, right? So, you know, tough loss, but you know what? I didn't really expect a W, let's be honest. Patriots are the perennial powerhouses of the NFL. I have a lot of respect for them. Go Chargers. You know, we've got a really great episode today. You know, I'm really excited about today's episode because it's a topic I've been wanting to tackle for a long time. And before I do that, I just want to announce that, you know, today Steve Jobs and Apple had a pretty important announcement, and I think I've got an even bigger one at the end of the show, so look for that. Obviously, before I taste the wines, I have to say one other thing. Enormous outcry of support, except for you, Kahuna, you're dead. But besides that, just an enormous amount of love from all the Vaniacs, besides the obnoxious amount of comments. Did you see we topped 200? Lots and lots of emails besides that, private emails. I really appreciate it. It means a whole lot. I am shockingly humbled, you know, by the outcry and the outpour of support, and I really appreciate it, especially for such a silly subject matter as football. Don't ever call football silly. It's my heart. All right, I'm pumped up. 4 very interesting wines, and the topic that I'm going to tackle today is wine labels. Wine labels are a lot more important than you think. That's right, the companies behind this grape juice spend millions upon millions of dollars as an industry analyzing wine labels, coming up with concepts, trying to get the marketing, trying to do something different, trying to create a feeling, a mood, an atmosphere, trying to get you to buy their product through their wine label. Heck, it's their face. You know, just like being attractive probably gets you more dates, a great wine label tends to get you more sales. Now, there's a whole nother factor, which is a rating system that has a lot of pull. It's not like we're all individually rated as daters or people to hang out with, though that is actually a pretty darn good idea. Eric, mark it down. New website coming our way. I'd probably be somewhere in the 99.5 range, 98 points. 101. Anyway, wine labels are exceptionally important. I'm going to give you another reason why. People come into the store all the time and say, hey, I had that wine that had the dog on it. Or do you have the one with the lightning bolt? Or it was red and green and had like a stream on it. Makes it pretty darn difficult, especially if you carry 1 or 2 wines like the Wine Library does. But the reality is that wine labels have gotten very, very interesting in the last 5 years. People have done a lot of creative things with the labels. I find it quite fascinating. I'm very into wine labels. We have enormous amounts of people collecting wine labels. We get wine label requests. We sell those things that you can peel off the wine label. People collect wine labels. People are passionate about wine labels. And, you know, for that reason, I thought we should do a special episode on wine labels. Said that already 900 times. These are 4 wines that Ian Dorn, one of our wine directors, has thought to himself were creative and interesting wine labels, and that's how these wines were chosen today for the show. I'm happy to see that there are 4 wines that I've never had before, so I'm going to taste them for you. So let's get right into it. We're going to taste some wine, because once in a while, even though this is a show about the NFL, we taste wine. Marybank 2005 Sauvignon Blanc. This label is quite interesting, as you can see the sheep and kind of coloring outside of the lines, so a lot of you have done this. New Zealand is a great place for wine. This wine is 11 US bones, and I'm pretty excited about trying it. I mean, once again, very creative label, pretty solid, and you know, it's kind of fun. It's kind of new wave, but more importantly, let's see what the juice is inside. One thing you'll notice is, I don't know if you can see this, there's a lot of frizzante going on in the bottle. And you'll notice this in white wines at times, especially young, acidic wines. So don't get scared. A lot of people do actually get worried about that and return the wines, but don't worry. As you can see, it's already pretty much gone. It settles. 05, real nice vintage in New Zealand. Nice color, nice light golden color. Let's give this a whirl. And bammo! Because this is what New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc does. Right off the top, we've got the grassy, cat pea, you know, just that kiwi aspect going right off the top. Grapefruit in bunches. I mean, like, you're carrying them all, you know, just lots of grapefruits coming through on this wine. Enormous amount of grassiness, like fresh cut grass. And I know a lot of you like to mow the lawn, as I do. I mean, who doesn't? You know, and then you get that really fresh cut grass. You're getting a lot of that smell coming through in this wine, mixed with all those grapefruits, and even a little bit of a hint of like a green pepper, but like a jalapeno, you know, and you should never really just bite a jalapeno by yourself and then chase it with Cristal, but you definitely get a hint of that on the nose. Nose is extremely fascinating, no doubt. I wonder if these sheep are grazing grass, because an enormous amount of grass coming through, lots of good residual sugar. I mean, this is a very complete wine. Very acidic, which I love, cuts through, great with foods. New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc is on fire. I would even find this a little rounder, more complete than most of the New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs. I prefer this to Kim Crawford. I prefer this to Babbage. I prefer this to a lot of the Sauvignon Blancs that I tend to like. This is outstanding. This is a very good New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. Great complexity, wonderful fruit. I love this. Let's score this wine 90 points. This is fantastic New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, and I'm completely blown away by the quality of this. You know, the question becomes, with all of these 4 wines today, can you judge a book by its cover? And with this one, for me, because they're nice little sheep and I like sheep, I would say yes, I like this wine. And I know so many people buy wines because of the label, and that just really fascinates me, something I don't completely recommend. I love the rationale that if they spend a lot of time on their label, they must spend a lot of time on their wine. That is like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So please don't go with that. That all being said, tremendous wine from Marybank and this New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. Definite 90-pointer. $11. Do I have to tell you? It's an out-and-out steal. Let's move on. This is a very interesting wine from Hentley Farms in Australia. This is the Mallee Sands Chardonnay. 88 points from the Wine Spectator. 11 US dollars. Really nice. I don't know if you noticed this, but it looks like a cow chilling against a fence, which is quite interesting. Pretty darn neat. 11 bucks, 88 points, which seems very value driven. Good score from the Wine Spectator. Again, screw top. As you know, I am a fan, and we will get into the aging of screw top. Somebody said, how am I saving my wines that are in screw top? Am I laying them down or standing them up? I am standing them up, because you don't need to keep the cork dry. So wet, excuse me. So that's kind of interesting. It could, if screw tops take over, you know, it could change the entire way that people build wine cellars, store wine. It could revolutionize the world. Anyway, back to the vino. Good color, not too bad. Also a little frizzante going on in there. I've never had this wine, but I've heard a lot about this winery. It's from Fool's Bay, ironically, interesting. It's Oak Monster time, and I don't think they tell you that the Oak Monster is in the bottle on the label, though the cow looks a little bit like an Oak Monster. All right, so let's see. Huge oak on the nose. Let's put it this way. Build a room in your house, all out of oak. Then go to the supermarket. Buy 80 pounds of butter. Take it and slap it all around. Walk into the room naked and live there for the rest of your life. That's what this wine tastes like. And for me, that's just a little too excessive. Now, if you let me take my iPhone in there, I could probably live there forever. But with that all being said, this wine is very over-oaked, very buttery. Too much for me. A little thin on the mid-palate, very light. This is not up my alley. I'm going to score this wine 83 points, and I disagree immensely with the Wine Spectator. But that being said, it's a heck of a label. Let's move on. Excited about this wine. I've heard a lot. This is actually a very interesting job. I actually give Ian a lot of credit for picking this one. This is pretty cool. Good label. This is the Rafael Cambra Dos 2004. 50% Cabernet Sauvignon, 50% Cabernet Franc from Valencia, excuse me. So, I'm excited about this wine. 50-50 Cab Franc. Very unusual to have this blend from Spain. Again, really cool label. Check this out. It's like a yarn, and then it unravels and spells out his name. Pretty darn cool. So obviously this wine's going to be fantastic because, you know, they spent a lot of time on the label. 50/50. Fantastic color. This wine's about $16. So it's a pretty expensive Spanish wine. So many of the Spanish wines these days tend to be in a far lower price category. It's a moderately priced Spanish wine. I guess that would be much more accurate. I mean, the color is sensational. Very dark, but not only that. The rounded edges have a nice raspberry color to it. I like the color a lot. Great chocolate-covered strawberries, even though I don't like to put them in my mouth. I love the smell of them. A lot of intense black licorice fruit. Very thick liqueur-type nose coming through, almost like a raspberry extract jam. The nose is very intense. I'm getting a little hint of leather. And when I say leather, to me, leather is definitely 8 years old, out in left field, chewing on your glove. You're getting that, I don't know what they put on it. Maybe a little pine tars mixed in there as well. But getting a little bit of leather. I'm also getting a nice aspect of like a cherry fruit roll-up. So that, I'm getting that aspect as well. Those fruit roll-ups were awesome. Good wine. A lot of mouthfeel. Enormous amounts of bitter tannic structure on the mid-palate to finish, which is going to turn off a lot of people at this stage of the game. These wines have been open for quite a while. These wines have all been open for over 4.5 hours. This wine is showing a very youthful jubilance. It's just very, very tightly wound, and it just doesn't want to come out and play. Now, that makes me angry and sad at the same time, but I can't fault the wine because it's just too young. It's got great structure. This is really a food wine, very difficult to drink by itself. I really see enormous potential for this wine because through the tannins, I'm tasting a lot of nice black and red fruit flavors. I like this wine. It's got great structure, and I think it's got long ageability. And this is a $16 wine I think you put away for 20 years, which is very shocking, maybe 15. But it's very, very tightly wound. Tough to assess really right now. Really tough to give it a score, but that's what I have to do. And so I'm going to score this wine 89 points. I like it. I think it's very good. I can't give it much higher right now because it is what it is right now. But it's kind of like George Clooney's career. It didn't start off that great. It ended up being all right. And so I see this wine having that kind of potential. There's a lot going on here. I'm dying to see what this wine does in 3 years when some of this really bitter, youthful tannins go away, and it's going to show you that undercovered aspect that's clearly here. Good wine has a lot more potential than it's drinking now. If you're going to be intrigued to go out and seek this producer's wines, I would definitely tell you to put the wines away. Nice nose, though. Let's move on. And I'm dying to try this. I'm pumped up right now. This is a really big moment for me because I really like what's going on with this producer, and I'm really excited to present to you the Red Car 2005 Syrah that they call Shake, Rattle, and Roll. So, that's pretty darn cool. They're very, very unique. They got a cool back label as well with the story. Really cool. Red Car is a very hot Colty Syrah producer in California, and I'm excited to see what these wines have in store for us. So this is the 05 Shake, Rattle, and Roll Syrah. Again, what a cool label. Nothing except the Red Car name. All the information's on the back. Looks like a drawing that somebody came up with. Really nice. I'm really into it. So if somebody came in and said, little kind of like trolley is on the label, that's how we figured it out. Really, really, really dark color. Big time New World nose. Now this wine's $50 US, 93 points, Wine Spectator. So it's got big pedigree. It's got a lot going on. I mean, I'm really into the color of this wine, and I wish I could just stick it right through the lens for you to let you check it out. But this wine's got great color, and it's coming through with a huge nose. I mean, just like a massive Skittles attack, you know? Great potpourri of tons of cherries, tons of licorice, blackcurrant, raspberry, black raspberry. I mean, there's a lot of different things on this nose. Almost like a candied apple pie, blackberry pie. Like a blackberry pie is really what I'm thinking. Like a Hostess, when you just cut it in half and, you know, just like all that in there. This is gushing with flavor. Old World fans, you better leave right now. I mean, holy black teeth, Batman. This wine is way over the top. I mean, bring out the toothbrush. This wine is going to stain you, maybe permanently. I mean, once again, back to that old story I like to talk about once before. This tastes to me like purple paint. You know, when you saw purple paint when you were young, you had a thought process of what it might taste like. That's exactly what this tastes like. This is extremely over the top. It's got a load of oak, but it's so overdone by the black cherry and the blackcurrant, the blueberries, and plums. Very sugarified. I mean, this is a New World fruit bomb, period. It's got nice... I've got to give them credit. They brought the balance, and there's nice dark chocolate aspect on the finish that I'm really enjoying. It's a good wine. I mean, this is a tough one because you get really, really weirded out by recommending this because there's some people who would hate this wine because it's just too over the top. But if you're a fan of the Cinquanons, the Ojais, and the wines of that nature, those really over-the-top ripe fruit bombs, or Big Barossa Shiraz fan, you'll enjoy this. And on that premise, you know, once in a while, they're just great wines. And when you're in a great mood, like I am, this wine easily comes in at 91 points for me. This is a nice bottle of wine. I can't get too crazy about it because it is one-dimensional. Though, as we always like to say, that dimension is delicious. There are some flaws with the over-ripeness of it, but it's an exceptional good bottle of wine. 91 points, $50. You have to decide if that's a QPR for you. For me, probably not. You know, probably not. I don't know if I'd spend the money on it, but it's a great bottle of wine. I don't see where Spectator scored at 93 points. I don't see that being much of a problem. I can see how a lot of people love this. I promised a big announcement, didn't I? And so here it is. The team and I have been really in the back cave coming up with some really cool stuff and really always trying to change the game. This Wine Library TV thing is huge, and we've all come together and really enjoyed it. So we've come out with a new website, a new addition to the Wine Library network. Big link here on the right-hand side. And what it's called is Wine Labels. Labels.winelibrary.com. We are going to create a place for people to find labels, talk about labels, tag labels. And let's talk about tagging for a minute. I want you to tag labels. That's what the community is going to do. I'm going to do it myself as well. And so today's question of the day is not a question. It's a little bit more of an interaction. I want you guys to go in and use wine labels. Check it out. Let us know what you think. We'd love to have some feedback. And tag a wine or 5 or 600, Brandon M, if you're up to it. And if you don't know what tagging is, basically you're going to tag the wine. And so this one you would tag maybe Red and Trolley, maybe even San Francisco. You could tag it Syrah. You could tag it a lot of different ways. Tags help you find things. I'm not the big tag expert of the world, but I think a lot of you know what it is. Check that out. And so here it is. You tag them, and then in the comment section, instead of the question of the day, it's the interaction of the day. Let us know which wine you tagged. I'd love to see people's personalities, how they come through. This one you could tag as yarn, string, orange. Eric, talk to me. Red. It's more orange there. Eric might be colorblind. I mean, this one you can tag cow, picture, art, grassy cow. I mean, a lot of things. Sheep. Tagging is fun. Get involved. I'm going to tag a whole bunch tonight. Tag and let us know. Oh, and comment? Eric said, and comment. You know, I don't want to forget. please comment. You know, you can comment on the label itself. This stinks. This is great. This is cool. I know the artist that made this. I had this wine. Whatever your mind, your tasting notes, whatever you'd like to do, we'd like you to play around with it, see what you think. We're really super excited about it. More importantly, there's a little code there, and you can put the label on your MySpace. You can put it on your blog. If you're reviewing a wine, I know a lot of you have blogs, use it and put it on. It's really darn cool. We're really excited about it. We put a lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it. We'd love to hear your feedback. And with that all being said, and this is the biggest darn truth in the world, you, with a little bit of me, we're changing the wine world, aren't we?